Guys, Acrylic April, day 1, 2020. The word is glow. I'm doing this glowing desert, and we're going to get started now. Hello and welcome to Deliberately Creative. I'm Stephanie, and I'm here with my live video for Acrylic April, Day 1, 2020. I'm following along with the Art Sherpa and her prompt list for Acrylic April, and today's word is the word glow. Now, if you are new here and you have never seen my channel, I love to paint. I love to share new ways of doing things. Sometimes I'm a little unconventional in the way I use my materials, but I'm always safe and I try to do good art studio practices. So today's video is going to be this lovely glowing desert. The picture is from Unsplash, and I'll show you really quick the way to get to Unsplash and my pictures. And I thought I had it all prepped up. Let's go up here. So what I am doing is I am putting all of my pictures that are inspiration for me for the prompt words. And I don't have anything written down saying this is this day's prompt. This is just a collection on Unsplash. So I go to unsplash.com right up there. And if you do a search for Deliberately Creative or Stephanie Bergeron, I think if you do a search for Stephanie Bergeron, you will get me and my page on Unsplash. And this is where all of my collections are. So I click on my collections and go down to Acrylic April. And I have been collecting a whole bunch of pictures, and they're not in any particular order. It's just how I found them. But some of these are going to be used for this month's session. I am going to be doing tomorrow, go back to there. Tomorrow, I'm going to be doing Unexpected Journey, and it's this cute little paper boat. So stick around. If you haven't, click that subscribe button and the notification bell. If you go to my page on YouTube, and of course I didn't leave that up in a tab, so I'll have to do that really quick. YouTube. I just go to YouTube and then we will click on my channel. As soon as it comes up, I will put that back on there. You click on Deliberately Creative and you will see my upcoming videos. And so I have I have 3 more live shows set up. I have Thursday, Friday, and Monday. I'm not going to do a live on Saturdays and Sundays as pre-planned, but I am doing paintings and I am putting all of my traceables on my website, deliberatelycreative.com. And if you click on the new patterns and templates page, it will go. And you will see here, I have patterns with the drawing in a line drawing and a little picture of the thumbnail, or a little thumbnail of the picture with the colors as the photos from Unsplash. So if you don't want to go and search for the photos, you'll have a little tiny picture of it. And when you print that out, see, I'm just doing all kinds of things. When you print that out, it will look like this. It will have the little glowing desert on this one, the line drawing that you can trace or use as an idea starter for drawing on. I did that this time. I just sort of sketched with my pencil and sort of followed it along. You can just put graphite on the back of this, lay it down, and trace it off. I'm working on, this is 5.5 inches wide by 7 inches long, just because I was cutting apart big sheets of watercolor paper, and I'm not even pre-prepping these. To start off with, I am using Acrylic Gouache, which is just a matte acrylic paint because it's the acrylic polymer with the pigment. All right, so we've got a few people starting to show up. Thank you guys so much. I hope that you are going to enjoy this process. I'm going to go ahead and put out my colors. I'm putting out, I don't know if I'm going to use all of them. I'm putting white. There's not a ton of white in here, but I like to be able to mix my colors down a little. I have permanent yellow deep. And if anybody has an opportunity to share this video out on social media, that would be awesome sauce. I have yellow ochre, and these are the Turner Acrylic Gouache, so they are acrylic with the pigments in them, but it's what it says, it's an acrylic polymer emulsion with the pigment colors in them. This gouache does dry permanently. You cannot resaturate it with water or anything. This is the permanent orange. I have burnt sienna. And I will probably put more paint out. It's just, you know, this is this is just to get us started. And then I have Prussian blue. The set of paints doesn't come with a phthalo blue or a straight ultramarine blue. At least I didn't see it. If it's around here somewhere and I lost it, that might be it. But I don't think I've got an ultramarine blue or a phthalo blue. So I'm using Prussian blue, and I'll put a little bit of white into it. And then I have black. Hello, Miss Tiffany. Hey, Tanya. Yay. We've got, and MWB Arts. I have my husband, Mark, here. He's a moderator, and he will be catching any questions if anybody has any. The palette I have right here is actually a glass cutting board that I got on Amazon. All the links for all the materials are down below in the more information box. And let's get painting, because I've been going for a little bit here already, and we haven't got any paint on the paper. Oh, don't forget to like. There we go. Oh, and I do have just a little handful of some brushes. These are two of the Mimic brushes. I have a number 12 round and a number 2 round. I don't know that I'm going to be using them very much because a lot of this is very flat and very sharp. So we'll see. And then my other brushes I have a 1 inch. This is a Simply Simmons flat wash and a 1/2 inch stroke brush by Princeton. I'm going to go ahead and get the sky put in. Now, once this paint dries, it is dry and you will not be able to blend down. So I'm going to wet my background so that I have a little bit longer time with the paint being wet. Something I've noticed with the acrylic wash, now that's kind of glaring. You can't really see my drawing so well. Let's see. I don't think I have anything that will really tip that up much. And we're going to zoom in to a better view. There we go. All right. So we are going and getting this. Now, I don't know if people were really interested in a desert scene, but this one just sort of called out to me because it was so pretty. And let's go even closer, and then we'll have our picture-in-picture right there. The desert scene just sort of called out to me as a really pretty, glowing type of scene. So if you're interested in that, thank you. And remember, please share. I'm just mixing a little bit of white into that Prussian blue to sort of bring it into a sky range versus a super, super dark. But in that reference, the sky is just this stunning dark, dark blue. Now that got a little bit more water in it than I wanted, so I'm just going to work some more paint in. This is acrylic, but because we're working on paper, it can be thin. There we go. So we're going to get this really nice dark blue in. Right up along the edge. This is why I wanted a flat brush to go along the edges of that hill. And then we'll just keep layering up the paint. And then go get it nice and flat. I do have a blow dryer here, so I can use that to speed up the drying once I've got this nice flat color on. And you might want to make sure and always start your brush off the edge. Don't start your brush down in the middle because you will end up with a funky brush line. Now that doesn't look super, let's see, that looks a little, oh, it's probably slightly out of focus because I focused for on the table. All right, guys. So if you want to, let me know where you're from in the chat. That would be lovely. I do have the chat up in front of me so I can see. If you're from someplace and you want to let me know. I'm in Washington State, but closer to Portland, Oregon than Seattle. How about that? I'm going to zap this really quick with the blow dryer. The nice thing about the acrylic gouache is that it dries to a matte finish. And I like that because it gives you this really velvety look. It's not perfectly dry, but it's dry enough on the surface. I am going to go ahead and put in this darker color. Now this dark color that's in the shadow, the deep shadow, this is not black. It is more of a burnt sienna and blue. Than black. Hey Debbie, Winnipeg, Canada. Ooh. So now, putting this color in, I might take my smaller brush to get some of those top shadows in. And if you want to see, this was the traceable, and it comes with a little picture also right on it. So all you have to do is go to the website and download that. The sand is going downhill that way. So I want to make sure, ooh, it needs to be more brown in there though. I want to make sure that this really dark color ends up with ever so slight shadings of it going downhill. Little bit of water in that. And then we will be, while it's still wet, we can blend other colors into it. So I'm going to get this pretty wet because I want to do a little bit of blending. And this is a pretty basic picture, except that it has, some of those little tricky things in it, like this side is sloping away and then the orange side is sloping the other direction. So We want to make sure that we get some of that indication of sloping down. And using the corner edge of the brush to really give me that nice, sharp edge. So then we have that shadow is actually coming all the way up to there. So it comes around. I'm kind of using that point on my brush like a round or something, huh? And then it comes up and it goes in here. Just try and keep it nice and sharp. And if it ends up working its way in a little bit, it's okay. We're going to be cleaning up those edges with the orange. So then there's this dark shadowy bit on that side. And see, I'm not worried that I just sort of drew that in. The pencil lines are still there. I kind of colored over it with my, I covered over this top edge with that blue, but that makes it so this stands out forward. Oh, that's already starting to look cool. I did not prep the paper with anything special ahead of time. This is just watercolor paper. And then there's a bit of a shadow right over here that's slipping back behind. Let's see. Anything else there? We've got that one. We've got... See, this one ended up becoming a lot bigger. That's okay. We'll work that out. And this is drying really fast. I do have two big jars of water. So after I'm done, East Tennessee, wow. So after I'm done with my dark, I can grab a clean jar of water here. How about that? We'll do that for the second. Don't forget to hit the like button, guys. And if you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe. That would be really helpful. Oh, and on my website or on my YouTube page, when you see all of the list of all of the thumbnails for all of the upcoming live shows, you can click the reminder on. Just click on reminder and it will send you a quick little reminder that says, hey, Deliberately Creative is going live in half an hour, and it will let you know so that you can be all prepped up and planned for it. All right, we're going to go ahead and get this sort of orangey color put in. I'm going to use yellow ochre and permanent orange to start this one off with just a touch of burnt sienna in it. This is sort of our darker tone. And then we will bring it to a lighter tone in just a couple minutes. But first, let's just go ahead and get this dark on there. I do need to get the paper a bit more wet. You can get this paint pretty darn wet because the acrylic polymers, even though you're spreading them apart on the paper, they will hold on to the paper. Even when they're in a much more dilute state. Let's see. There. Come down. Bring that one in. And right now you can also see through this edge a little bit. That's because I'm putting it on pretty thin. Just so that we can get an idea of where these colors are and where the edge of that hill is. There, comes down and around. So sometimes it can feel kind of like a coloring book. And the traceable pages can be used as coloring book pages. If that's what you want to do, you can certainly use it as a coloring book. So the sand is going this way. And yes, it's much more orange than it's going to be when we're done. But I'm just trying to get some paint down on here so we have a bit of a base to work on. And where those two colors meet, we want to try and keep it as sharp of an edge. I see where I sort of went over into the blue. I can clean that up in just a second because it hasn't really dried yet. Now you see how when you have thicker coats of paint and thinner coats of paint, you can see through it. We will be working our way up in the opacity here. And there will probably be some more dark go in as long as I can reconstitute it. Well, I can always remake it. Okay. Hey there, Chrissy. All right. So I'm going down in this direction away from that dark area here to start getting the feeling of the sand dune rolling down the hill. We're not too worried about it being perfect yet. Thank you, Chrissy. I appreciate that. It is a cool image, and I think it's going to be one that's a lot of fun for people to do. I'm going to switch to a smaller brush. I'm going to the 1/2 inch Snap by Princeton. It's a 1/2 inch stroke brush. I'm going to work more of the yellow ochre and the permanent yellow together and start getting some of these edges a little bit more firmed up. Sometimes having a big brush to get the basics in first really helps. I am going to be going back in and sort of working back and forth a couple times here on the dark and the light, just because it will be easier once I know where all of my edges are. Hello there, gaming. Nice to see you. Thank you. I appreciate that you like the image also. I really liked it. I thought it was fun and different. It's not the same thing that everybody does. Ooh. Trying to get this one edge right here nice and sharp. You need to make sure you have enough paint so that it doesn't go dry brush right there. There. Once you get more paint on here, you can start seeing how the layers are coming together, giving you more and more depth. It's one of the things I really like about gouache. And this is the Acrylic Gouache. So it does go with the theme of Acrylic April. And I have not, as I said, I did not seal this paper ahead of time. One, because I'm working with gouache and I wanted that, the absorption of the paper to work with me. All right, we're going to really brighten up this front edge. Now, the acrylic gouache does go a little bit, it will go more quickly into that dried off state, and you'll end up with it skinning over if you're not working fast. If it starts to skin on you, you can always give it a quick spritz with just plain water in a spritzer bottle. And yeah, I spritzed my painting too. That's okay. See, I was able to pick up some of those colors from over on the other side because the paint is not dry yet. There we go. Taking some of that permanent yellow, much brighter. We really want to get this into a nice glowy state. Working on it flat like this is a little bit tricky. But now you can see a bit more of the edge. Yes, it's one of those images that where you know what it is, but you could have it on a lot of different angles. Absolutely. It's almost like an optical illusion. So this edge up here is actually a lot brighter. I'm going to start blocking those colors in more and more. So then we have areas here that are darker and areas that are brighter. It all looks very similar to start off with, though. And you're going, well, wait, hold it. How are you getting, you know, like a hill over there that's brighter? And then you're getting this edge that's brighter here. These are things that are just catching more light. And you have variations. It's not flat. So coming down this front edge here, if you look in that reference picture up there, you can see how it almost looks striped coming down the front here. It almost looks like it has stripes in it. And that's just because of the way the wind blows across the sand dunes, creating those ripples, and just the way the way the sand flows down the hill. There we go. We're getting pretty close on that edge right there. It's a little bit dry right here. Well, the whole thing's dry. It's a desert. Yes, and as the sand moves, it changes colors. Yeah, so we've got that darker up or brighter up here. The sun's catching up in this area a lot more. But then as it comes down, it blends out. So it catches up here, and then it blends down. Look at that sky, though. Isn't it? It turned out perfect. And that was the Prussian blue with just a tiny bit of white in it. I hope you guys are enjoying this. And if you are, make sure you click that like button. And if you are new and you want to see more, click the subscribe button. And share this with your friends. If you're doing Acrylic April, it's okay on the Acrylic April website or the Acrylic April Facebook group to share my paintings there. So, thanks, Mark. There we go. So, I am going to... Whoops! Okay, I just really made it go down into that dark sand. The shadow area. I don't want it to be down that far. So I am going to take my brush and just run it right along that edge. Damp brush, not wet. And I'm wiping it off on a paper towel. So there we go. And now I am going to take a round brush, I think. Maybe just a small one. This is a number 2 round. It's actually a watercolor brush. But what I want to do is, see, you cannot reconstitute this paint that's out here very well. It basically, I'm just pulling that off the edge. I don't want that. I want, nope, that's all dry too. Have to mix up a little bit of my dark color again. And that's burnt sienna and Prussian blue. More Prussian blue. There we go. Because it doesn't have this little jog right here. These little edges all need to actually be connected. Set my hand right down in my paint, but it didn't. It was already dry enough. Thank goodness. So these edges need to be clean. So I'm going ahead and just using the dark to clean up those edges. And so this is what I'm looking at. And this is where we are. So that's where we are. And this is what I'm looking at. Not doing too bad. We need to get a bit darker right over here. See how that's going? I think what it is that my dark area here needed to go. That's what it is. This dark area right here needs to come way over. Hello, Mona. Nice to see you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just fix it, you know? Fix it, guys. You notice something? And it's something that you can fix. Boom. Look at this. I'm just going to draw it in with the paintbrush. And that's all going down into that deeper sand over here. Don't be afraid to change things up, you know? There. Woohoo! Look at that. Oh, that just made it so much better. Makes it look so much more like the reference. It needs to scoop down just a bit here and then go off the edge. See? We just work it in. And a lot of this, being able to work on this flat is more just for the camera than for my ability to see. It does throw off your perspective when you are working flat. So, and that needs to be a little bit darker. I'm actually going to take a bit of black into that now, I think. It's burnt sienna, Prussian blue, and a tiny touch of black. And if it's a little lighter up here at that top edge, that's okay. There we go. All right. Does anybody have any questions? This is Acrylic Gouache. Hello, Kathy. Nice to see you. I hope that everybody checked out Cinnamon's live show this morning. Well, live show, her live premiere this morning. I am going to turn this upside down so I can get this edge better. Because it's a lot easier when your bristles are pointing to the outside of whatever you're painting. Oh, there. Haha, yay. It was really cool seeing Cinnamon have over 1,000 people show up. But there we go. Ooh. All right, so now I need my small brush. And I totally messed up and got my other jar of water dirty now too. Just what happens. So I'm going to take some of this yellow ochre and burnt sienna. And maybe just a tiny bit of that dark color. There's a little bit of the sand area that you can see catching light right here. And a little bit, there's actually a split coming down that the light is coming into. Coming forward. And then this area here, there's a light to it. On that edge, there's that little tiny mountain, or little part of the dune that's back over there. And this actually goes all to the brownie light color. Oh, it's good to have challenges. It's good to, it helps our brains be happy. You know, if you have a challenge, your brain is actually happier. There's a little bit of that light color coming off where it's just barely catching. Look at that little tiny reflection of light coming off this way. And there's a little tiny bit of it coming off down here. See those details just start coming in. Now I need some of that much darker color right up here. I'm getting down to those final details actually. Those little things that make it feel a little bit more real. Without being a slave to the original, I'm working on making it sort of like the original, but not perfect. So this, the dark actually comes up the side and blends in. So now I'm going to, make sure that you're getting all the water off of the ferrule or it will drop. And on paint like this, there's times when if your paint drops down onto it, you end up with a very strange, random circle of light. And you go, how on earth did that happen? All right, so now I'm going to go in here and start getting some of these little shadows put in. Little shadows put in. You want this paint fairly fluid. There we go. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. Sometimes you go and you do a live show and you're like, is anybody even going to show up? It's kind of where I was this morning. I was like, everybody's already gone to the Sherpa. Is anybody even going to want to come watch my show? So thank you. I really, really appreciate you being here. Just trying to put some indications with fairly wet, fluidy paint. Mostly this is burnt sienna and yellow ochre for these shadowy bits. And then there's actually some little tiny bits of plant life growing out here too. Little weeds, little grasses.
I was wondering what the color of the sky was again.
The color of the sky was Prussian blue with a touch of white. And the paints I'm using are the Turner Acrylic Gouache. You could do this with regular gouache also, but since this is Acrylic April, I am working on doing this. I am going to do an experiment with the regular gouache and adding the matte fluid medium to it. This is an acrylic medium, an acrylic polymer, so I can make some colors that didn't come with my set. You know, like phthalo blue, or yeah, there's some colors that didn't come. Now this little area right here needs to be a touch darker. I'll do that in a minute. Right now I'm going to go ahead and finish getting some of these little shadows put in. Maybe a little bit more yellow in a couple of those spots. Picking up a couple different colors on your brush at once and letting it just naturally lay down wherever it goes. Then you end up with some really interesting highlights. There we go. Some interesting highlights and some interesting shadows. But putting in that base underneath that had more of the orange to it just helps it to glow. It gives it almost an underpainting effect. Let's see. That edge might actually have a little bit more orange to it. There we are. Okay. So I want to get a little bit more dark, and I think I'm just going to take it with the black and the burnt sienna so that it gets a bit of a glow right up here around this edge. And then add the Prussian blue to it as it comes down. And the reason why I'm needing to do that is because I did extend this part of the shadowy side of that sand dune. Thank you. I'm excited by it. I really am enjoying this. There we go. Get a little bit of some variation in tone down inside here. Not too much. Just a bit. Mostly it's just dark. But it's going to have that lovely, velvety soft. Into the mountainy type area. There's a little bit of this right here that's actually much darker. Right close to that edge. And then up here, it actually comes right up into that. I see, there it is. I had a bit of a hill that was hanging out. And because of the way my mountainy bit is shaped, it's shaped a little bit differently than the original. Just because, you know, I drew it by hand. And sometimes when you draw by hand, things end up being a little bit less precise. But I think what I want is for this bright orangey yellow bit, I do need it to come up and across a little bit more. You can do that. Remember what I said? You can go back in and you can adjust just like a regular acrylic painting. Once it's dry, you can paint right over it. I want a little bit more of a shape right here, I think. A little bit more of a hill. And then I'll have to fix the edge of the mountainy bit right there. I know it's not really a mountain, it's a sand dune, but you know what I mean. And this is brighter. Just work in those colors the way they make you think they need to be. Darker, but not totally dark. And then I'll bring the dark color back up into it. Maybe a little bit of a shadow at the base of that. There we go. All right. Let's just speed through that now, right? I don't have the speed forward button here. Going back in and working on an edge. There we go. There we go. Nice thing, these paints are more opaque. There we go, there we go. All right. So I'm learning, you know, how much, whoa, see, I have that giant drip of water right there. Got to get that off. I'm learning how much paint I need to put out for one of these size paintings also. Since I can't just come back and reuse this after the, you know, after the show, it has to be, you know, during the show. There we go. All right, there's some little tiny planty bits that almost are green, not quite, and that might even be just dark. So it's like a little tiny bits here and there. And there's little areas where the sand is kind of built up around it. There might be some little stones. Just putting in some of those little detaily bits. Thank you guys so much. I need you as much as you need me. You know? I need you guys here. I need the camaraderie. Getting a little bit more shadow down inside of that little bit. Soften it out while it's still wet. Once it dries, you're not softening it out. There we go. All right, so this one right here, I need to pull this farther forward. And then get that dark color right up in top. See, I'm working on small canvas or small surfaces. I'm trying to get this so that I get them done in a reasonable amount of time, but you know what? I'm really sorry that this one is taking so long for being such a simple painting. Sometimes the simple paintings are harder to do because you need to get it right, or you want to get it right. And then that hill comes over that way. Okay. I ended up making it a much sharper hill, and it needs to be more of a gentle slope because the sand finds its level. There. And now I'll put my little indications of little planty bits. It's just got a few here and there. Nothing major. A little bit of some shadow coming off some of those. All right. There we go. I think. You know what it is that you think you've got something done, and then you go back in and you touch it, and then you have to fix what you just touched. And if you don't clean your brush out, you end up with these random colors that sort of pop out of your brush. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes, arg! All right, I think I'm going to go ahead and sign this. We're going to pull the tape off and see how it ended up looking. And I need to get my paint a little more fluidy. I'm taking a little orange and yellow ochre, I think. I don't want it to be too bright. All right, and now we're going to pull this tape off. And first, we're going to hit it with the heat tool to break that tape. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate everyone who has showed up. I appreciate everyone who is watching, putting my paintings into your playlist. Make it an Acrylic April playlist so that you can have all of the people doing Acrylic April in one place. Oh, let's put this on a slightly different view. Let's go here. Let's see, where's my edge to my tape? There it is. All right, let's look. Oh my. All right. You know, it's different from the original, but I like it. I think it's really pretty. I think that it gives me a place to grow from and to share from, and I hope that you guys are enjoying it. Remember that Acrylic April goes all month long. I'm going to do Monday through Friday live videos. Mondays will be at 9:15 a.m. Pacific time, and Tuesdays through Fridays will be at 12:15 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Thank you so much. Remember to go out and do something creative. Take care of yourself so you can take care of those around you. And I hope to see you back here again really soon. Bye-bye.